Do you mean to say that I don't follow the teachings of Christians?
Not at all. I'm giving you quotation with reference. You go back home and check the Bible. You are not a true Christian. Do you follow Jesus Christ? Peace be upon him. Are you circumcised?
My name is Ali, and I'm from Fez, Morocco. I am 41 years old, but it all began in 2019 when I was 35. I was raised in a strict Moroccan family and took pride in my title as a Hafiz, someone who had memorized the entire Quran by heart. My days began early, with my voice joining the recitation at the madrasa, my fingers tracing the worn pages as I worked towards becoming an Imam. My father, Hassan, a tall man with a gray beard, watched me with pride, often saying, "You'll lead our people, Ali." My mother cooked tagine, her smile warm, while my younger cousin, Jamal, looked up to me, his eyes bright. Life felt solid, like the old stone walls around us. I loved the Quran. Every verse was a rhythm I knew by heart, every prayer a step closer to God. My room was simple, a mat, a small desk, and shelves of religious books, where I studied late into the night, the oil lamp casting shadows on the walls. My family relied on me, their hopes pinned on my future as an imam. Hassan often sat with me, his voice firm, teaching me to defend our faith against outsiders. "The world will test you," he'd say, and I nodded, ready to prove myself. Jamal would listen, his notebook full of my lessons, and I felt strong, like I was building something big for us all. One evening, everything shifted. I was scrolling online, a habit I kept secret from Hassan, when I stumbled into a Christian missionary's page. His name was David, a man with kind eyes in his profile picture, posting about Jesus. Curious, I joined a debate forum, my fingers quick on the keyboard, ready to show him the truth of Islam. I typed long messages, quoting the Quran, my mind sharp from years of study. David replied, calm and steady, challenging me with questions about Jesus' divinity. At first, I laughed, thinking it was easy to win, but his words stuck with me like a question I couldn't shake. I closed my laptop, my heart beating fast, wondering why it bothered me. The next days were tense. I kept debating David online, my arguments strong, but his points about Jesus being God's son kept coming back. I'd sit at my desk, the Quran open, reciting to calm myself, but my mind wandered to his words. Hassan noticed my quietness, asking, "What's wrong, Ali?" I forced a smile, saying it was nothing, but inside, I felt a crack. Jamal asked to join my studies, his voice excited, and I taught him, trying to hold on to my certainty. My mother brought tea, her eyes soft, and I sipped it, hiding the doubt growing in me. The Medina's noise faded at night, but my thoughts didn't stop. One afternoon, I sat with Hassan in the courtyard, the sun warm on the tiles. He spoke of an upcoming mosque event, his voice full of pride, expecting me to lead. I nodded, but my mind was on David's last message, asking, "Have you considered Jesus' love?" It hit me hard, and I felt a mix of anger and curiosity. That night, I locked my door, my hands shaking, as I searched for a Bible online. I found a free copy, downloading it quietly, my heart pounding. I read the first page, my eyes wide, and hid it under my mat, scared but drawn in. The Quran's words still filled my days, but this new book was a whisper I couldn't ignore. My family sensed something. Hassan watched me closer, his frown deep, while Jamal asked why I seemed tired. I brushed it off, saying it was the madrasa work, but the secret weighed on me. I'd wake early, recite the Quran with the others, my voice steady, but at night, I'd read the Bible, my fingers tracing the pages. The stories of Jesus, his kindness, his sacrifice, felt different, not like the debates I'd won. One evening, my mother caught me staring at my laptop, her face worried. "You're not yourself," she said, and I hugged her, my guilt heavy. The Medina's call to prayer rang out, but inside, I was starting to question everything. The debates with David grew intense. He sent verses from the Bible, his tone respectful, and I replied with Quranic proofs, my pride pushing me. But his question, why not seek the truth wherever it leads, stayed with me. I sat in my room, the lamp dim, reading about Jesus' life, my heart racing with doubt. Hassan planned a family gathering to celebrate my Hafiz title, his voice loud with joy, and I smiled, but it felt fake. Jamal helped set up, his excitement clear, and I patted his back, hiding my confusion. The tea flowed, the room warm with laughter, but I felt alone, a man torn between my past and a path I didn't understand yet. One night, I couldn't sleep. The Medina was quiet, the stars faint through my window. I pulled out the Bible, my hands trembling, and read about Jesus teaching love. It hit me deep, like a friend speaking, and I cried, my tears wet on the page. I prayed to Allah, my voice low, asking for guidance. But I also whispered a question to Jesus, scared of what it meant. Hassan's pride, my mother's care, Jamal's trust. They all pressed on me, but this new thought was growing. The next morning, I joined the madrasa, my recitation perfect, but my mind was elsewhere, starting a journey I couldn't turn back from. I sat in my room that night, the oil lamp flickering as the Medina outside grew quiet. My heart still racing from reading that first page of the Bible. I'd hidden it under my mat, my hands shaking, as I closed my laptop, scared someone might hear. The Quran's verses still filled my days at the madrasa, my voice steady during recitations, but this new book was a whisper I couldn't push away. My father Hassan had smiled that day, proud of my Hafiz title, while my mother served tea, her eyes warm. Jamal, my cousin, asked about my lessons, his notebook ready, but I felt a crack inside, a doubt I couldn't name. The next day, I kept debating David online, my fingers quick on the keyboard. I sent him Quranic proofs, my mind sharp from years of study, determined to win. David replied, his words calm, sharing more about Jesus' life, his teachings, his love for the lost. It bothered me, like a stone in my shoe, and I argued harder, quoting verses to shut him down. But at night, alone in my room, I pulled out the Bible again, my heart pounding. I read about Jesus forgiving people, his voice in the text feeling close, and I stopped, my breath caught. I hid it fast, glancing at the door, worried Hassan might walk in. My days split in two. At the madrasa, I recited the Quran with the others, my voice loud, earning nods from the teachers. Hassan sat with me after, his gray beard catching the light, saying, "You're ready to lead." I smiled, but my mind was on the Bible, its pages calling me. At home, I'd wait until everyone slept, the house silent, except for the creak of the floor. I'd light the lamp, my hands trembling, and read more. Jesus' parables, his kindness. It felt different from the debates, like a friend speaking, and I cried quietly, my tears wet on the mat. I prayed to Allah, asking for strength, but the doubt grew. Hassan noticed my changes. One evening, he asked, "Why are you so quiet, Ali?" I said it was the madrasa work, my voice shaky, and he patted my shoulder, trusting me. My mother brought extra food, her face worried, saying, "You look tired." I hugged her, my guilt heavy, while Jamal watched, his eyes curious. I taught him the Quran, my words steady, but my mind wandered to Jesus' stories. The Medina's call to prayer rang out, and I joined, my movements sure. But inside, I felt torn. The Bible's words about love, about grace, stuck with me, and I couldn't shake them. I kept reading late into the nights. The lamp's glow lit the small room, the walls lined with my religious books, but the Bible felt alive. I read about Jesus healing the sick, his patience with doubters, and it hit me hard. I'd memorized the Quran to prove my faith, but this felt personal, like Jesus was talking to me. One night, I wrote to David, my fingers slow, asking, "Why does Jesus matter so much?" He replied with kindness, sending more verses, and I sat there, my heart racing, unsure what to believe. I hid the message, scared, but the question stayed. My family planned a celebration for my Hafiz title, the house filling with relatives. Hassan led the prayers, his voice strong, while my mother cooked couscous, the smell rich. Jamal helped, his smile wide, and I joined, my face set, but my mind was elsewhere. I recited perfectly, the room clapping, but inside, I felt fake. A cousin, Fatima, asked about my debates, her eyes sharp, and I brushed it off, my stomach tight. That night, alone, I read the Bible again, my tears falling, and prayed to Allah, then whispered to Jesus, my voice low. The doubt was a seed now, growing despite my fear. One afternoon, I sat with Hassan in the courtyard, the sun warm on the tiles. He spoke of my Imam future, his pride clear, and I nodded, but my thoughts were on David's last message. Seek truth with an open heart. It stung, and I felt angry, then curious. I excused myself, my legs heavy, and went to my room. I read about Jesus' sacrifice, my chest tight, and cried, my hands covering my face. The Medina's noise faded, the stars faint, and I felt alone, a man caught between two worlds. I prayed again, my voice shaky, asking for guidance, but the Bible's pull was stronger, a path I couldn't ignore. Jamal caught me once. He walked in as I hid the Bible, his eyes wide. "What's that?" he asked, and I froze, my heart pounding. I said it was a study book, my voice tight, and he nodded, but I saw doubt in his face. I sent him out, my hands sweaty, and locked the door, my mind racing. Hassan called me for tea, his voice firm, and I joined, my smile forced. My mother asked if I was okay, her touch gentle, and I lied, my guilt growing. The Quran filled my days, but the Bible filled my nights, a secret pulling me toward something new, a journey I was just beginning. I sat in my room that night, the oil lamp burning low, the Medina outside silent under a heavy sky, my hands still trembling from hiding the Bible under my mat. Months had passed since I started reading it, my nights filled with Jesus' words, my days split between the Quran and this new pull. Hassan's pride in my Hafiz title weighed on me, my mother's worried looks stung, and Jamal's questions about my quietness made me uneasy. I'd prayed to Allah for clarity, my voice low, but the doubt grew, and that night, everything changed with a dream I couldn't forget. It started in darkness. I was walking through the Medina, the alleys empty, the usual hum gone. My chest felt tight, like I was lost, and then a light broke through, a soft, warm glow ahead. I moved toward it, my steps slow, and found a garden, green and peaceful, with trees swaying in a gentle breeze. The air smelled like rain and flowers, so different from Fez's dust. Then I saw him, Jesus, a man with a kind face, his eyes steady, wearing a simple robe. He smiled at me, his voice clear, saying, "Ali, come, you're welcome here." My heart jumped, a mix of fear and peace hitting me. He stepped closer, his hand reaching out, and I felt a calm I'd never known. The garden felt like home, the worries of my family, the madrasa, the debates, all fading. Jesus pointed to a path, his voice soft but firm. Follow the truth. I wanted to ask questions, my mind full of the Quran, but his presence was enough. I woke up suddenly, my room dark, the lamp out, and my face wet with tears. I sat up, my breath fast, the dream so real it stayed with me. I whispered, "Jesus," my voice shaky, and felt a pull to understand more, even as fear crept in. The next morning, I went to the madrasa, my head spinning. I recited the Quran, my voice steady, but my mind was on the garden, Jesus' smile. Hassan sat nearby, his gray beard catching the light, nodding with pride, and I forced the smile back. My mother brought lunch, her eyes soft, asking if I slept well. I lied, saying yes, my guilt growing, while Jamal watched me, his notebook in hand. I taught him a verse, my words clear, but inside I felt torn. The dream replayed, Jesus' welcome, the peace, and I couldn't shake it, even as I prayed the usual prayers. I kept reading the Bible that night, my hands steady now, drawn by the dream. I found verses about Jesus as the way, the truth, and it matched what I'd seen. My heart raced, a mix of joy and fear, and I cried again, my tears falling on the page. I wrote to David, my fingers slow, saying, "I had a dream about Jesus." He replied, kind as always, encouraging me to seek more, and I felt a spark. But the risk hit me, Hassan's anger, my family's trust. I hid the phone, my hands sweaty, and sat in the dark, the dream's light pulling me forward. My family noticed more. Hassan asked about my focus, his voice firm, and I said it was study stress, my stomach tight. My mother touched my arm, her worry clear, while Jamal asked, "Are you okay, Ali?" I nodded, but the lie hurt. One evening, Fatima, a cousin, visited, her eyes sharp. "You seem different," she said, and I brushed it off, my heart pounding. The Medina's call to prayer sounded, and I joined, my movements sure, but my mind was on Jesus, the garden, the welcome. I felt alone, a man stepping into something new. The dream came again, 2 nights later. I was back in the garden, Jesus waiting, his smile warm. "Ali, come to me, and I will give you rest. I chose you," he said, and I felt a peace so deep it shook me. I woke up, my room quiet, and prayed to Allah, then to Jesus, my voice low. The next day, I sat with the Bible, reading about his love, my tears falling. I knew I had to decide, stay with my old life, or follow this call. Hassan planned a family talk about my Imam role, his pride loud, and I nodded, but my heart was set. That night, I whispered, "I choose you." To Jesus, my decision made, ready for what came next. The days felt heavy. I recited at the madrasa, my voice perfect, but my thoughts were on the garden, Jesus' words. Hassan spoke of the future, his eyes bright, while my mother cooked, her love clear. Jamal helped, his trust in me strong, and I hugged him, my guilt deep. I wrote to David again, saying, "I'm converting," my hands shaking. He warned me of risks, his tone gentle, and I nodded to myself, knowing the cost. The Medina's lights faded, the stars out, and I felt a mix of fear and hope, a man stepping into a new faith, the dream lighting my way. I sat in my room that night, the lamp dim, the Medina outside quiet under a cloudy sky, my heart heavy after whispering to Jesus, "I choose you." The dream of his garden, his welcome, still burned in my mind, but the cost hit me hard. I decided to convert, my hands shaking as I wrote to David, and his warning about risks echoed. Hassan's pride in my Imam future, my mother's love, Jamal's trust, they all felt close to slipping away. I hid the Bible under my mat, my breath fast, knowing the next day would change everything. The morning came too soon. I joined the madrasa, my voice steady during recitation, but my mind was on Jesus. Hassan sat nearby, his gray beard catching the light, planning my Imam role, and I nodded, my stomach tight. After, I went home, my steps slow, and told my family. "I've become a Christian," I said, my voice low. Hassan's face darkened, his eyes narrowing, while my mother gasped, her hands covering her mouth. Jamal stared, his notebook dropping, and the room went silent. I felt their shock like a weight, my heart pounding, but I stood firm, the dream's peace holding me. Hassan exploded. "You shame us!" he shouted, his voice loud, and grabbed my arm, his grip hard. My mother cried, "Ali, no!" Her tears falling, while Jamal backed away, his face confused. They dragged me to the courtyard, Hassan's anger fierce, and beat me. His hands, then a stick, my back stinging with each hit. I fell, my breath short, but I didn't fight back, the pain mixing with the garden's memory. "You're no son of mine," Hassan said, his voice breaking, and my mother sobbed, unable to stop him. Jamal watched, his eyes wet, and I felt their love turn to hurt, my chest tight. They disowned me that day. Hassan threw my clothes out, his face hard, while my mother stood silent, her tears silent now. Jamal tried to speak. "Ali, please." But Hassan pulled him back, his voice cold. I packed a small bag, my hands shaking, the Bible tucked inside, and left, the Medina's alleys blurring as I walked. The call to prayer rang out, but I didn't stop, my back sore, my heart broken. I found a cheap room in a different part of Fez, the walls thin, the noise loud, and sat on the floor, my tears falling. I prayed to Jesus, my voice weak, asking for strength, the pain fresh. The first nights were hard. I had little money, my body ached, and the silence of my new room felt empty without my family. I thought of Hassan's pride, my mother's cooking, Jamal's laughter, gone. I read the Bible, my fingers tracing the pages, finding comfort in Jesus' words about suffering. One evening, a neighbor, an old man named Omar, knocked, his face kind. "You look lost," he said, and I nodded, too tired to lie. He brought bread, his hands steady, and I ate, my tears mixing with gratitude. He didn't ask much, but his quiet help felt like a gift. I started to heal, but the loss stayed. I missed the Medina's hum, the family prayers, the life I knew. One day, Fatima, my cousin, found me, her eyes hard. "You've hurt us," she said, and I apologized, my voice low, but she turned away, her words sharp. I walked back, my legs heavy, the rejection stinging. I prayed again, my heart open, and felt a peace, small but real. David wrote, his message short, "Stay strong." I replied, my hands steady, thanking him, and decided to hold on, the dream's light guiding me. Weeks passed, the pain easing. I found a job at a small shop, my hands busy with goods, and saved money. The room grew familiar, the thin walls less lonely with Omar's visits. One night, I dreamed of the garden again, Jesus smiling, saying, "You're not alone." I woke up, my face wet, and prayed, my voice stronger. I wrote to David, asking about others like me, and he sent names, cautious contacts. I met one, a man named Kareem, in a hidden cafe, his face nervous but kind. We talked about Jesus, my heart lifting, a new start forming. The past haunted me. I saw Hassan once, his back to me in the market, and hid, my chest tight. My mother sent a letter through a friend, her words shaky. "We miss you, but can't accept this." I cried, my hands holding the paper, the love and pain mixed. Jamal wrote too, his note short. "I don't understand, but I care." It hurt, but gave hope. I prayed, my voice clear, thanking Jesus for the dream, the strength. The Medina's lights faded, the stars out, and I felt a resolve. A man paying a high price, but finding a new family in faith. I sat in my small room that night, the thin walls shaken with the Medina's distant hum, a single candle flickering on the floor. I was 36 now, Ali, a Hafiz turned Christian, my heart still raw from the disownment 2 years ago in 2020. The beating from Hassan, my mother's tears, Jamal's confused face, they lingered like shadows. But that dream of Jesus in the garden, his voice saying, "You're not alone," kept me going. I'd met Karim, a nervous but kind man, in a hidden cafe, and his words about Jesus had sparked something. Now, in 2021, I felt a pull to do more, to share this faith, even as fear gripped me. The candle's light danced, and I prayed, my voice low, asking for courage. The days were tough. I worked at a small shop, my hands busy with spices and cloth, saving every dirham. The room was bare, a mat, a cracked table, Omar's bread on a plate, but it was mine. Omar, the old neighbor, visited often, his quiet kindness a comfort. "You're stronger than you think," he'd say, his eyes gentle, and I'd nod, my tears close. I missed my family, Hassan's firm voice, my mother's tagine, Jamal's laughter, but the pain was fading into a quiet strength. I read the Bible every night, my fingers tracing the pages, finding peace in Jesus' words about loving enemies. It was hard, but it felt right. One evening, Karim came back, his face tense. "There are others like us," he said, his voice low, and handed me a list of names, secret Christians in Fez. My heart raced, a mix of hope and fear, and I agreed to meet them. We found a hidden spot behind an old shop, the air thick with dust, the walls crumbling. 5 people sat there, 2 men, 3 women, their eyes wary but warm. I shared my story, my voice shaky at first, about the debates, the dream, the disownment. They listened, some crying, and one woman, Amina, hugged me, her tears wet on my shoulder. It was the start of something new, a family born from faith. The meetings grew, but so did the risks. We met at different times, in alleys or empty houses, always careful. I taught what I'd learned, Jesus' love, his sacrifice, my hands steady with the Bible. Karim helped, his voice soft, while Amina brought food, her smile bright. One night, a man named Younes joined, his face scarred from a beating. "My family turned me out too," he said, his eyes red, and I felt his pain, my own scars aching. We prayed together, our voices quiet, and I cried, the weight of our shared struggle hitting me. The Medina's call to prayer sounded, but we stayed, our faith a secret bond. The danger came closer. One day, a neighbor glared at me, his words sharp, "You're not one of us." I hurried home, my legs heavy, and locked the door, my heart pounding. Karim warned me of whispers, his face worried, and I prayed, asking Jesus to protect us. Amina's brother found out, confronting her, and she came to me, her eyes swollen from crying. "He hit me," she said, her voice breaking, and I held her, my anger rising. We moved the meetings, my hands shaking as I planned, the risk real, but the need stronger. The candle burned late, and I felt a resolve, a man building something despite the cost. My faith deepened. I read the Bible more, finding strength in verses about persecution, my tears falling as I prayed. Younes shared his story, losing his job, his home, and we supported him, pooling our little money. One night, we sang a Christian song, our voices soft, and I felt joy, a warmth I hadn't known since my family. Amina drew pictures of our group, her hands steady, while Karim prayed, his words sure. I wrote to David, my fingers slow, telling him about the network, and he replied, "You're a light." It lifted me, my heart full, even as the threats grew. The family pain lingered. I saw Hassan once, his back straight in the market, and hid, my chest tight. My mother sent another letter, her handwriting shaky. "We pray for you to return." I cried, my hands holding the paper, the love mixed with hurt. Jamal's note came too, his words simple, "I miss you." It broke me, and I wrote back, my tears wet on the page, saying I was safe but changed. I prayed for them, my voice clear, asking Jesus to soften their hearts. The Medina's lights faded, the stars out, and I felt their absence, a man carrying love and loss. The network grew to 10 by 2023. We met in a basement, the air damp, the walls cold, but our spirits warm. I led with stories from the Bible, my voice strong, while Amina taught songs, her smile back. Yunus shared food, his hands steady, and Karim prayed, his faith deep. One night, a young man, Idris, joined, his eyes scared but hopeful. "I want this," he said, and I hugged him, my heart full. We faced risks, whispers, glares, but the community held us. I cried, my tears of joy mixing with fear, a man finding purpose in a hidden faith. The threats peaked. A letter came, unsigned, warning us to stop, and I burned it, my hands shaking. Karim said a friend was watched, his voice low, and we tightened our secrecy. Amina's brother followed her once, his face angry, and she hid, her breath fast. I prayed, my voice firm, asking for protection, and felt Jesus's peace. One evening, we sang again, our voices soft but sure, and I looked at them, Karim's nod, Amina's smile, Yunus' strength, and cried, my heart grateful. The Medina slept, the stars bright, and I knew this was my fight, a quiet resistance growing strong. I sat in the damp basement that evening, the candle's light flickering in the cold walls, the Medina's hum faint above. I was 41 now, my heart full yet heavy as I led our underground Christian network. 5 years had passed since my disownment, the beatings from Hassan, my mother's tears, and Jamal's confusion still echoing. But Jesus's dream, his garden, his welcome, had guided me through. The network had grown to 15, meeting in secret, their faces a mix of hope and fear. I held the Bible, my hands steady, and prayed, my voice low, thanking him for this path, even as danger loomed. The meetings were my life. We gathered in basements, abandoned shops, or hidden alleys, the air thick with tension and faith. I taught about Jesus, his love, his sacrifice, my voice clear, drawing from my Hafiz days, but now rooted in the Bible. Karim stood beside me, his face lined but kind, leading prayers, while Amina sang softly, her drawings of our group pinned to the walls. Yunus shared food, his hands rough from work, and Idris, now 20, listened, his eyes bright with new faith. One night, a woman named Zara joined, her voice shaking as she said, "I lost my family too." I hugged her, my tears falling, feeling our shared pain turn to strength. The risks were constant. Whispers followed us, neighbors glaring, letters warning us to stop. One day, a stone crashed through my window, the glass shattering, and I ducked, my heart pounding. Karim found a note, its words harsh, "Leave or pay." I burned it, my hands trembling, and prayed, asking Jesus for protection. Amina's brother tracked her again, his shouts loud, and she hid, her face pale. We moved meetings, my mind racing to keep us safe, the candle burning late. Yet the community held. Idris brought a friend, his smile shy, and I felt pride, a man building something real despite the threats. my faith grew deeper. I read the Bible every night, my fingers tracing verses about endurance, my tears wet on the pages. One morning, I found a letter from Jamal, his handwriting shaky. "I've thought about you. Can we talk?" My chest tightened, a mix of joy and fear, and I wrote back, my hands slow, agreeing to meet. We met in a quiet cafe, his face older, his eyes unsure. "I miss you," he said, his voice soft, and I cried, hugging him. He didn't understand my faith, but promised to listen, a crack in the wall I'd lost. I prayed, my heart full, thanking Jesus for this hope. The network faced a crisis. A man, Tariq, was caught praying, his shop attacked, and he fled to us, his face bruised. We hid him, my hands steady as I planned, the group pooling money. Amina drew his story, her pencil firm, while Yunus guarded the door, his strength quiet. I led a prayer, our voices soft but sure, and Tariq smiled, his tears falling. The next week, police questioned a neighbor, their voices loud, and we scattered, my legs heavy with worry. I prayed again, my voice strong, feeling Jesus' peace, a man holding on to faith through storms. A surprise came. David, the missionary from my debates, contacted me via encrypted messages, his tone warm. "I've followed your journey," he wrote, and I cried, my hands shaking as I replied. We talked online, his words kind, and he sent support, Bibles, encouragement. One night, I shared his messages with the group, my voice breaking, and they prayed, their faces lifted. Amina sketched David's name, her smile back, while Idris nodded, his faith growing. It felt like a bridge, a connection to my past debates, turning to friendship, a gift I hadn't expected. The family pain softened. I saw Hassan once, his back bent in the market, and my heart ached, but I didn't approach, my steps heavy. My mother sent a package, dates, a scarf, her love silent but clear. I cried, my hands holding the cloth, and wrote her, my tears wet on the paper, saying I was okay. Jamal visited again, his face softer, and we talked, my voice gentle. "I don't agree," he said, "but I love you." I hugged him, my tears falling, a man finding a piece of home. I prayed, my heart open, asking Jesus to heal our bond. The network thrived. By mid-2025, we had 20 members, meeting in a new spot, the air warm with hope. I taught about Jesus' peace, my voice strong, while Kareem led discussions, his wisdom deep. Amina's songs filled the room, her art a record of our journey, and Yunus shared stories, his hands steady. Idris brought a young woman, her eyes scared but curious, and I welcomed her, my heart full. One night, we sang, our voices soft but sure, and I looked at them, Kareem's nod, Amina's smile, Tariq's strength, and cried, my tears of joy mixing with gratitude. The Medina slept, the stars bright, and I felt a purpose, a voice of truth rising. The threats didn't stop. A raid nearly caught us, the police close, and we fled, my legs weak but moving. I prayed, my voice firm, and we regrouped, my hands planning anew. Zara's family threatened her, their voices loud, and she stayed with us, her tears falling. I held her, my heart heavy, and led a prayer, our faith unbroken. One evening, David sent a video call, his face kind, and we talked, my tears wet as he prayed with us. The Medina's lights faded, the stars out, and I knew this was my calling, a man sharing truth, risking all, but held by a love stronger than fear.